Jalen Carter, who I just completed my first round mock draft. It'll be, by the time you're hearing this, it will probably be released on Instagram and Twitter, and then we'll have a midweek episode to kind of roundtable that. So stay tuned for Thursday's episode. But Jalen Carter, who is the most talented player in the draft, according to most experts, he was supposed to be, and still could be, I guess, the first overall pick to the Chicago Bears if they stand pat. He gets arrested over the weekend. As he was at the combine going through medicals, news breaks that he is wanted in, I guess it's at, is it Atlanta or Athens? I've forgotten where the warrant was issued, but he's wanted in Georgia for his role in the death of teammate Devin Wilcock and recruiting staffer Chandler LaCroix. Long story short, Carter apparently lied about his role in this, where he was that night. The report is that he was actually drag racing the other car when they lost control and crashed, and obviously both passed away. The driver of that car was the recruiting staffer. She was more than 3 times over the legal limit, so it was a drunk driving crash. But Jalen was racing them, going twice the legal speed limit for that area, and he was driving a car given to him through an NIL deal. He then fled the scene, came back an hour later, according to reports, and then lied to police about where he was and how the event happened. This is a big time charge. I believe there were 2 charges put against Jalen. He was arrested. He was released on bail, I think like 14 minutes later. But regardless, this is a massive red flag for a guy who's been supposed to be the most talented draftable player for really the last 2 years.
Yeah, just a tragic, sad, awful situation all around. And we got to wait for some more facts to come out. It doesn't look good for him, but I don't want to comment a ton on stuff before the full
Mhm.
process comes out. It definitely will hurt his draft stock. I think that, definitely don't think that he's going to go number 1 overall if you're just asking me today, unless some other information comes out. But
Right.
yeah, who knows? Don't want to speculate too much on how far he falls. I know that was extremely difficult for you when you're putting your mock draft together because
Impossible.
who knows? Right? We saw, Laramie Tunsil, obviously not a very similar situation, but just, draft day, draft stock tanking because of a picture that surfaces of him. Obviously, very different situations, but it's just so unpredictable. Like, how many NFL owners and GMs are going to get spooked by this? And how far does he fall? Who decides to take the bargain and take the
Yep.
gamble? Just so many moving pieces, and all that just doesn't even take into account the fact that 2 people lost their lives in this situation.
Right.
That's the most important thing. That's
Right.
just so tragic about this. So yeah, I don't want to speculate too much about it, but just a really tough look for Jalen and a really really tough scene for everybody involved.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a tragedy. Certainly not glossing over that by then the lead story being his draft stock. And you're right. I mean,
Right.
we can't speculate where how this affects him, where he falls. I did not include him in my mock draft, and I make a note in that mock draft that simply I couldn't find a place to put him without knowing all the facts. It felt irresponsible to say, okay, he's going to fall, but only to this team because this team's going to say, okay, that's far enough. Now we're going to take him. So I just removed him from that first round mock entirely, and that's not the only mock draft I'm going to do. As soon as we know more, then maybe he makes an appearance in one. But
Yeah.
overall, just a terrible situation. A guy that already had some character concerns. The world in which I work and live, there had been a lot of rumors going around about Jalen and maybe some, off the field things and just not being kind of an accountable partner for sponsors and signing deals, and then not doing any of it and still expecting to get paid. So all of this is being talked about in front offices across the league right now, and hopefully everybody holds kind of reserves their final judgment until we get the final word legally. But it does not look good. There's no doubt about it, and I don't know at this current time like I said, where he falls in that process, who would be willing to take a chance on him with all of that. So just a tough situation. We'll move to a couple other quick notes here from the combine. Again, more of this coming in the midweek episode when we'll talk about the NFL draft. I include a lot of notes and measurables in my mock draft. Anthony Richardson has lit the college football and NFL world on fire. He tested extremely well, historically well, in fact. He set records in the vertical and broad jump, a certified athletic freak, but Trey, my hesitation with him hasn't been his athleticism. It's been, can he complete a slant route or an out route, which he hasn't shown the consistent ability to do. I know where I have him in my mock draft. I won't spoil that right now for the listeners. He has moved up my board just as I try and predict what NFL teams will do with him. But we talked about at the very beginning of this process when I started studying film on him. Quarterback wise, I have a third round grade on him.
Athlete wise, you have to have a first round grade on him, but yeah, the question was never the athleticism, and that's extremely well said. So I'm still with you. I don't know that if I was an NFL GM that I would be willing to put my record on the line, and that's going to be a pick that either makes your job or loses you your job a couple years down the line. So I don't know that I would hitch my wagon to Anthony Richardson, but the athleticism was never a question. Now it's confirmed with on the field test, I guess, but nothing's really changed on that point. He's an athletic freak.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make a lot of money somewhere for his athletic talents, but if he can't throw the football accurately, he's going to not have a long career in the NFL.
Yeah. Nolan Smith, a big winner from the combine, the edge rusher out of Georgia. I've got a first round grade on him now after seeing how he's recovered from some injuries. We knew the flash on the field, but I wanted to see how he would test. He tested extremely well. I think he's going to end up going in the first round. Other quarterback news, just because that was kind of what was most recent as I was putting together the show doc. CJ Stroud, described as surgical throwing the football. We know he does not have the biggest arm, but throwing the ball 60 yards downfield doesn't necessarily a quarterback make. And so for CJ, he's going to be able to make maybe 95% of the throws. And if he can do those at an above average level, I think he's an awesome selection in the top 5 for a franchise quarterback. He kind of, proved all of that out, didn't do a lot of the testing. I think he'll do some of that at the pro day, obviously in a controlled environment where, likely the bubble is tilted downhill. But he'll do that in the comfort of his home campus. Concerns, though, came out for Will Levis, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Tanner McKee. They call this the Underwear Olympics. Their throwing drills are not against defenses, and yet all three of them really struggled to impress yesterday. Trey, when you're like in Tanner McKee's case, McKee specifically did not test well, which a lot of people did not expect him to test, to run, to do any of the measurables. He did. It hurt him. And then he doesn't have a cannon arm. He's got an interesting throwing motion, which leads to some inaccuracies. There were a lot of people that were canning him up to the first round. I didn't see that. And after the way he tested at the combine, I really don't see that.
Yeah, I think we can put that talk to bed, right? I think it's okay to put that Tanner McKee first round talk to bed now. And he doesn't have, if he tested poorly, but he had won 3 national championships in his time, or even just looked competitive in the Pac-12, then I think we could maybe put the bad testing behind him. But he wasn't competitive. He wasn't a winner in college either. So maybe somebody still takes a second day, third day draft pick on him, but I think that's a ceiling at this point. And yeah, I'm really fascinated to see. I think Stetson Bennett seemed like he tested really well. I was shocked
Yes.
by. I think he ran like a 4.6,
Yeah.
or something like that. So
Yeah.
that was really surprising. We still have a few skill guys to get through today. The running backs are going as we speak. I want to see if Devon Achane can run what he says he thinks he can run. I saw the quotes yesterday saying that he wants to break the all-time record at the combine. So I don't know. I haven't seen if he's actually run yet, but we'll see if he can, make some splash with those numbers as well.
Yeah. Really excited to see the running backs. There were some wide receivers that tested really well. Trey Palmer, obviously a burner out of Nebraska. I don't know where he's going to go exactly. I think second, third round might be a
There's
little
always
high for me.
somebody that runs an extremely fast 40 as a wide receiver. Last year it was Tyquan Thornton, and it earned him a second round draft pick
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
Patriots. So
Gracious hip power.